Well, hello there. My inbox just got bombarded because Conan O'Brien vlogged his doctor's visit. So I thought I'd watch it and react to it. Perhaps even a good learning opportunity. Let's get started.
Anyone noticed yet today that my voice sounds a little different? Does it sound a little different to you? A little sexier, a little lower? Thanks a lot. There's a reason for that. I haven't actually felt well today. You bastards. Yeah. We're talking about my physical health.
And little does Conan know, his physical health is intimately tied in with his mental health. So if he's not performing well physically, it can make him quite upset, which can lead to feelings of worry, anxiety, even depression in some cases.
I just have, I don't know, some kind of virus or something. And I last night I was up all night, really sore throat. I woke up today, achy, just don't feel well. Come to work because the show must go on.
What it sounds like that he's describing could be either a viral illness or it could be bacterial illness. The fact that he's saying body aches and sore throat, he's putting all of these systems together, sounds like I'm leaning towards viral, but it's hard to know from his limited description here. The one thing I will tell you that some of the most painful sore throats happen as a result of a viral illness, not strep throat. So don't jump to concluding that because your throat is really sore, it must mean you have strep throat. Actually, it's not that the case. It's actually the other way.
A lot of NyQuil. And woke up with my pants around my ankles in an alley, actually.
Did you feel better? That's the...
I felt better. So did the guy I was with.
Oh, he just threw in one of those, didn't he? Please don't take a lot of NyQuil, folks, because NyQuil is actually a combination medicine. It has what is the equivalent of Benadryl in it and Tylenol. So it not only is a pain reliever, but it also puts you to sleep. However, Benadryl, or NyQuil for that matter, if you take it and you don't go to sleep and you stay up, it's actually worse for you in terms of concentration and ability to perform tasks than alcohol. There's actually been a study done that tested people who were under the influence of alcohol in comparison to those who took Benadryl, and those who took Benadryl were worse drivers than the alcohol group. Isn't that crazy?
Do you feel comfortable talking about the stomach stuff that was going on? Like, was it nausea, diarrhea? Like, what was that symptom?
You really want me to talk about diarrhea on television?
When we're seeing the symptoms of an upper respiratory infection start spreading into the GI tract, what that points my mind to is to a specific virus called adenovirus. Now, this is one that affects both upper respiratory and GI tract and can cause diarrhea. In fact, diarrhea and upper respiratory symptoms point you to the direction of thinking that this could be caused by a virus. Because if you have just an infection of bacteria in your throat, it's very unlikely that it's going to start spreading into the GI system right away. So the fact that he's having multiple system involvement here really makes me lean towards the idea that this is a virus.
Do you ever find yourself talking to patients and they mention that they've had diarrhea and you start laughing?
Not anymore. Maybe when I was...
That's sad when all the joy goes out of your life.
I don't think I've ever laughed when a patient tells me diarrhea unless they describe it in a funny way where they're trying to be funny, then we can share a laugh. I try and do some kind of humor with it, like, are you just constantly running? Are you basically having diarrhea in your pants? The patients and I both get a good laugh and they understand that this is very disarming, functions as a way to break down this barrier that often exists between patients and doctors where we have to be very strict and very proper. We can have a good time. We can laugh.
If this somehow could all end with you saying, well, you're an amazing male specimen, and I had that on camera, that would be great.
Okay.
But that's you decide.
An amazing male specimen. Can you imagine if, like, a doctor does a prostate exam and then afterwards he's like, you're an amazing male specimen? I think that would be really weird feedback to get. We're trained not to use weird language like that during our practicals. Like, for example, if I'm listening to someone's heart, I'm looking inside their ears, I'm doing a vaginal exam, I'm always trained to say everything looks normal or everything sounds normal instead of saying good. But when you say everything looks normal, that's less provocative. There's no real wrong way to take normal.
Let's start with taking your temperature.
What? They have the Scrubs poster right there? That's even hanging crooked for effect? That's awesome. He looks so miserable.
Right on. 97.5. You're actually cold.
A lot of wax in there.
I wonder if he's wincing because she's putting it in deep, or he's just trying to be funny with it. Because generally that procedure shouldn't be that uncomfortable. You can get a good view of the tympanic membrane or the eardrum without pushing too far and causing discomfort. It's actually one of the mistakes that a lot of my medical students make that I have to tell them, like, why are you pushing in so deep? Think about how uncomfortable that feels to the patient. And when they realize that sweet spot, then you can do it consistently over and over again without causing discomfort to a patient.
1, 2, 3. Stick your tongue out. Ready? Do you hate this?
The best thing you can do when a doctor's trying to look into the back of your throat, keep your tongue out the whole time and consistently say the sound ah. Ah. The reason why we say ah is because it lifts your palate. And when it lifts your palate, we have a really good view of the back of your throat. I'll say to my patients, like, open up, they'll open their mouth, they'll stick their tongue out, and I'll say ah, and they'll go ah. And I didn't get any view of anything.
What are you feeling there?
I was feeling for swollen lymph nodes, glands. Anything tender?
Not yet.
If they were swollen and enlarged, that would be indicative of a form of infection or inflammation. Glands do get swollen during that time, but they should return back to normal after a period of time. If your glands don't return to normal and they stay swollen, that's a reason to go see your doctor.
There's a tattoo there that says REO Speedwagon Rules. I got it in 1978. I thought that band was gonna go the distance.
Oh my god. 2 more.
One of the most important things that you want to tell patients when you're listening to their lungs using a stethoscope is to make sure that they take deep breaths through their mouth. This is the largest airway. There's no mucus in there, unlike the nose, which is a smaller airway. There's mucus in there. And you can get upper airway sounds like that sound gets transmitted into your lungs and you'll hear it and you won't be able to decipher, is that coming from the nose or from the lungs?
I want as much medication as I could possibly have.
Really?
A lot of my patients come in asking for medications. It's a common misconception that if you have a virus or if you have a strep throat, that unless you get antibiotics, you're not gonna get better. This is not the case. If you're otherwise healthy, you're always gonna get better. In fact, if you have strep throat, for which we give antibiotics for, we are only shortening the course of strep throat illness by 16 hours. It normally lasts 7 to 8 days, and we're saving you 16 hours of symptoms by giving you the antibiotic. The antibiotic is not for your symptoms, ladies and gentlemen. The antibiotic is there strictly to prevent the complications of strep throat.
You know, sometimes you hear about, like, oh, there's a cool Tylenol that they only sell in Sweden. It has codeine in it, like a little bit of cocaine.
Right.
You know, and marijuana. Is that something that, I mean, I know that you
I
guys
don't think it would help you.
Yeah.
No.
Could I have it anyway?
I've had patients say that they heard about some cool supplement that promises to shorten the duration of a cold if they take mega doses of it. No, there's no magic fix. There's no magic vitamin. It's about getting the proper rest, hydration, getting the right amount of calories in, and allowing your body to do its job.
Nervous?
A little bit. You haven't said anything for a while.
The reason why we don't say anything for a while is because there's a few areas we have to listen to. We have to listen to on the right side of your chest, then we have to move over to the left side of your chest, and there's 4 places that we listen to on the left side of the chest. So unless we do all this, we have to take a few seconds to actually hear the rhythm, make sure we don't hear a murmur, because that's what we're listening to, and to make sure that the rate is normal, not only in terms of how fast it's beating, but the rhythm as well. A heartbeat should be ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. It should keep a proper rhythm. If all of a sudden you're getting ba-boom, boom, 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 that could be a sign of atrial fibrillation, which is its own cardiac arrhythmia, and all sorts of other issues, in which case we would then want to get extra testing like an EKG, perhaps an echocardiogram, depending on what we're suspecting. But the biggest reason we listen to is for murmurs. When you have something wrong with the valves of your heart, or actually the chambers of your heart, we hear turbulent flow, meaning that if you ever hear fluid move through a pipe and the pipe is nice and clear, you're not gonna hear anything, it's silent. But if something all of a sudden gets in the way and the water has to move around it, that turbulence creates a sound. That's what we're listening to in your chest.
Do you have much of a prolapse or anything? Has anyone told you that?
What's a prolapse?
It's one of the valves in the heart's just a little bit floppy.
I just came here to shoot like I came here to shoot like a silly little, I've got a cold and we're gonna just screw around. You're telling me something real?
Oh yeah, no, but it's nothing. You don't have a murmur or anything.
So mitral valve prolapse, what she's talking about here is technically like floppy heart valves. Well, we're specifically talking about the left side of the heart, in between the lower portion, which is the left ventricle, and the left atrium. There's something known as a mitral valve, and it's 2 little leaflets. And sometimes they do get floppy and they don't sit evenly with each other, and they actually prolapse to the left atrium. And when that happens is you can have a little bit of leakage of blood that goes into the left atrium when it's not supposed to. But most of the time, patients are asymptomatic, meaning they don't even know they have it. And we just find it kind of on a routine physical exam and no treatment is needed. That's why she wasn't so worried about it.
I have a floppy heart. I have a lot of tension in my job. I have a lot of inner rage. I'm Irish Catholic stock.
Oy.
And we don't do well in the long run.
Right.
We're not people that live a long time.
I think it's really important to talk about someone's mental state, because if they're not in a healthy mental state, they're gonna take longer to recover from their symptoms. They're gonna have worse symptoms on average. So I like to get that in the open and see if there's anything we can offer this patient.
A little petite.
Those are bad push-ups.
All right.
What do you think? I'm a pretty good male.
Yeah. No, you're really fantastic. I think maybe
Camera, please.
male specimen.
You think maybe I'm a male specimen? No.
This is the sort of wimpy Sudafed, because we can't really get the real Sudafed anymore because of the crystal meth problem.
So I can't make crystal meth out of this?
Conan O'Brien is a fantastic male specimen.
You got her to say it. Oh, good job, Conan. Conan was awesome for showing this, showing his medical visit, joking about it, talking about his symptoms. This is how we make changes in the medical community, by opening it up, by being more transparent, by showing doctors have a sense of humor. I have two videos that you have to watch. First is right here, Untold Stories of the ER. This one is fun. And then the one that is really unique is this woman who can smell Parkinson's disease. Yeah, she can actually smell it. Click on one of these bad boys now and stay happy and healthy.